When your dog yawns while you're talking to them, do you actually know what they're trying to tell you? Most people assume their dog is just tired, maybe bored, maybe tuning you out. But that yawn happening right in the middle of your conversation is one of the most loaded signals in the entire canine communication system. And if you keep misreading it, which almost every owner does, you could be accidentally making your dog more stressed every time you try to connect with them. Let's start with what that yawn actually is. 1. It was never about being tired. Have you ever noticed your dog yawn at a specific moment? Not when they're waking up from a nap, not when they've been lying around all morning, but right when you raise your voice slightly, right when you lean over them to pet them, right in the middle of a training session that's going longer than they'd like, right when a stranger walks too close. If you've seen that and chalked it up to coincidence, you've been missing one of the most important signals your dog knows how to send. Norwegian dog trainer and behaviourist Turid Rugaus spent decades studying canine communication and identified a system of over 30 signals dogs use to manage tension, avoid conflict, and regulate their emotional state both with other dogs and with humans. She called them calming signals, and yawning is one of the most common and most consistently misread of all of them. Here's what most owners never consider. When your dog yawns in response to something you're doing or saying, their body is attempting to do two things simultaneously. It's trying to calm itself down, and it's trying to calm you down. That yawn is a de-escalation tool, a white flag, a signal that says in the only physical language available to them, I'm not a threat, and I need you to dial back whatever is happening right now. Your dog isn't bored. They aren't dismissing you. They're communicating carefully, deliberately, and in the hope that you'll understand. And by the end of this video, you'll know not just what each type of yawn means, but how to respond to it in a way that actually strengthens the bond between you, rather than quietly fraying it every single day. 2. The yawn that means you're being too intense. Have you ever been in the middle of giving your dog a command, maybe asking them to sit, stay, come, and they just yawn? You repeat yourself. They yawn again, and you feel a flicker of frustration because it looks like they're completely checked out. They're not checked out. They're overwhelmed. Rugaus documented this pattern repeatedly across decades of behavioral observation. When a dog yawns during training or instruction, it's almost always a signal that the interaction has crossed into uncomfortable territory for them. The session has gone too long. The tone has gotten too sharp. The expectation has outpaced their ability to process. And instead of shutting down or acting out, they yawn because in dog language, that yawn is a polite, controlled request to pause. Think about what it takes for a dog to offer that signal instead of escalating. They're choosing communication over reaction. They're trying to resolve the discomfort through a social gesture rather than through avoidance or aggression. That is a dog with emotional intelligence trying to work with you. And when you push past it, when you repeat the command louder, when you hold the session longer, when you read the yawn as inattention rather than communication, you're teaching your dog that their attempts to signal don't work. And a dog who learns that their signals go unheard either escalates or shuts down. Neither of those outcomes serves either of you. The right response to a training yawn is simple. Stop. Take a 30-second break. Let them reset. Then re-engage with softer energy. What feels like a setback in that moment is actually the fastest path to a dog that learns willingly and stays bonded to you through the process. 3. The yawn they catch from you and what it reveals about your bond. Here's something most dog owners have never heard. If your dog yawns when they see you yawn, that is not coincidence. That is one of the most scientifically significant things they can do, and it tells you something specific about how they feel about you. In 2008, researchers Jolie Mascheroni, Senju, and Shepherd at the University of London conducted a study that changed how scientists understood the dog-human relationship. They had an experimenter make eye contact with 2 9 dogs and then yawn deliberately. The result? 21 out of 29 dogs yawned in response. Not one dog yawned during the control condition where the experimenter simply opened their mouth without yawning. The yawn itself, the specific action, was what triggered the response. This was one of the first documented instances of contagious yawning crossing the species barrier, and contagious yawning is not a trivial phenomenon. In humans, susceptibility to yawn contagion is consistently linked to empathy scores. People who score higher on empathy measures are more likely to catch yawns from others. People with certain conditions that reduce capacity for social attunement are significantly less likely to show contagious yawning at all. Then in 2013, Researcher Teresa Romero and colleagues at the University of Tokyo published a follow-up study in PLOS One that went further. They tested 25 dogs with both their owners and with strangers performing yawns. The finding was clear and meaningful. Dogs yawned significantly more in response to their owner's yawn than to a stranger's. The contagion was modulated by emotional closeness. It wasn't just about seeing a yawn, it was about whose yawn they saw. What this means for you is significant. If your dog catches your yawn, they're not just mimicking a physical movement. They're demonstrating a rudimentary form of empathic resonance, their nervous system responding to yours because of the bond between you. The more bonded your dog is to you, the more susceptible they are to catching your yawns. That yawn traveling from you to your dog is the bond made visible. And hey, if this is already making you see your dog differently, hit like and subscribe. We want to reach every dog owner who deserves to understand what their dog has been saying all along. 4. The yawn during an argument and why it should stop you cold. Have you ever raised your voice at your dog, at someone else in the room, on a phone call and watched your dog yawn? Maybe look away at the same time, maybe lick their nose, maybe move slightly further from wherever the sound was coming from. That's not your dog being indifferent to conflict. That's your dog actively trying to stop it. Rugas identified this pattern as one of the most consistent applications of the calming signal system. When tension rises in a dog's environment, raised voices, fast movements, confrontational body language, dogs will often yawn, turn their head, lick their nose, or move slowly between the people involved. All of these are attempts to interrupt and de-escalate whatever is building in the room. Your dog doesn't understand the content of arguments. They don't know what the disagreement is about, but they can read emotional charge with extraordinary precision. They feel the cortisol spike in the room. They hear the change in vocal frequency and rhythm, and their response is to try to bring everything down through yawning, through slowness, through deliberate displays of non-threat. Moriti and colleagues published research in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior in 2017 confirming that calming signals, including yawning, are used by dogs specifically in response to perceived tension, and that they function as genuine de-escalation attempts in social contexts. This wasn't theoretical. It was observed across dozens of dogs in controlled conditions. So the next time your dog yawns during a tense moment in your home, look at them. Really look. They're not checked out, they're working. They're doing the only thing available to them to try to make things better. And the least they deserve in return is for you to notice. 5. The yawn that means your dog is uncomfortable, not disobedient. One of the most common situations where dog owners completely misread a yawn is during physical contact. You reach down to hug your dog, or you lean over them for a photo, or you hold their face in your hands because it's irresistible, and they yawn. Most owners smile and call it cute. Some feel a little offended that their dog doesn't seem to be enjoying the moment as much as they are. Almost nobody reads it as what it actually is, a clear signal that the physical interaction is uncomfortable for the dog. Dogs and humans have fundamentally different relationships with physical contact. For humans, a hug is comfort. For dogs, being held in a way that restricts their movement or places another body directly over them activates an ancient threat response. In the wild, being held down or having something large over you meant one thing, and even the most loved, most secure family dog carries a shadow of that instinct. The yawn during a hug or close physical contact is a calming signal deployed specifically because the dog is trying to manage mild stress without making the interaction confrontational. They're not fighting you. They're not growling. They're not trying to get away dramatically. They're asking politely, through the most socially sophisticated tool they have, for the intensity of the contact to reduce. Veterinary behaviorists note that missing these signals during physical contact is one of the leading causes of unexpected bites, particularly in children interacting with family dogs. The dog signaled multiple times through yawning, lip licking, and looking away. The signals were missed. The dog, having exhausted its polite options, responded with the only language left available. This is almost never the dog's failure. It's an education gap. And now you have the education. 6. The yawn at the vet and what you can do about it. Why does your dog seem to yawn excessively at the vet's office, in the waiting room, on the examination table, before anything has even happened? And they're clearly not tired, they're alert, they're tracking every movement, their body is tense. So why the yawning? Because yawning in high-stress environments serves a dual function in the calming signal system. It's social directed at the people and animals around them in an attempt to reduce perceived threat, but it's also self-regulatory. The physical act of yawning triggers a parasympathetic response in the nervous system. It's your dog's body attempting to manually override the stress response by engaging a mechanism that physiologically promotes calm. This is actually something you can use. Rugas documented that humans can use calming signals back at their dogs, and that dogs respond to this cross-species communication. If your dog is yawning at the vet or in any stressful situation, try yawning back at them, deliberately, slowly, with soft body language and a turned-away gaze. Many owners who've tried this report visible relaxation in their dog, a softer body, slower breathing, reduced pacing. You're not mimicking them for fun. You're speaking their language. You're telling them in the most direct way available to you. I'm calm, you can be calm too. This is not a threat. And for a dog who's already trying desperately to manage their own stress through yawning, having their person respond in kind can be exactly the signal that allows them to exhale. 7. The yawn they give you when you finally get it right. Here's the one most people never expect. There is a type of yawn your dog gives you that isn't about stress, isn't about discomfort, isn't a calming signal at all in the traditional sense. It's a yawn of complete and total contentment, and it sounds almost identical to all the others. The difference is everything around it. The context, the body, the moment. When your dog yawns after a long walk, stretched out next to you on the couch, body completely relaxed, eyes soft, tail still, that yawn is different. When they yawn right after you've spent 20 minutes genuinely playing with them and they've collapsed at your feet, belly showing, paws loose, that yawn is different. When they yawn during a calm morning where the house is quiet and you're just there, just present, and they look at you and yawn slowly and then rest their head on your leg, that's different. That yawn is release, not stress release, resolution. The signal their body sends when everything that needed to happen has happened, and they are, in this moment, exactly where they want to be. The science of calming signals is rich and important, and will help you avoid dozens of mistakes owners make every single day. But don't let it turn every yawn into a problem to diagnose. Sometimes the yawn is the answer, not the question. Sometimes it's your dog's body marking the moment when effort ends and belonging begins. Learn to tell the difference. Study the context. Watch the body around the yawn, not just the yawn itself. And when you see the contentment yawn, the one that comes after connection, after play, after quiet time together, receive it for what it is. Your dog just told you that you got it right. 8. What to do now that you know. Knowledge without application is just interesting. So here's how this changes your daily life with your dog starting today. When your dog yawns during training, stop. Lower your energy. Give them 30 seconds, and then re-engage gently. Don't repeat commands louder. Don't extend the session to prove a point. The yawn is telling you that you've hit their limit, and the fastest way through that limit is a brief, calm reset, not more pressure. When your dog yawns during physical contact, respect it. Ease the hug. Move your body back slightly. Give them room. Let them come back to you on their own terms. The interaction you have after you honour that signal will be warmer than the one you were trying to force before it. When your dog yawns in a tense moment, acknowledge what they're doing. Speak softly. Lower your posture. Let them see the room de-escalate. They were working to help you. The least you can do is let them see that it worked. And when you yawn and your dog catches it, pause and appreciate what just happened. Their nervous system just mirrored yours. The bond between you just made itself visible. That's not nothing. That's years of trust expressing itself in a single shared breath. Your dog has been talking to you in yawns for as long as you've had them. Every one of those yawns was a sentence. Every ignored yawn was a sentence that fell on deaf ears. But you're not ignoring them anymore. And that changes everything about what happens next between you.